This is one of my favorite places to lecture and to talk. This can be a bit heady, but I promise I'm going to keep it super Conscious Life Expo level about stem cells, because it's all about bioenergetic medicine. Now, I think that the talk is at 12:30.
12.
12.
Okay.
You
said it went at 12:30.
You have 45 minutes, and I hold up signs when you have 15 left, so you're done at 12:45.
Okay, so it starts at 12.
Yes.
Thank you. All right, so I'm going to do my whole presentation then. Why don't we get started?
Yes.
We good? Okay. By the way, we're going live on Instagram, so if you guys are interested in following my business, going to Bioharmonic Technologies, so if you guys have your phone, log in, and you can watch what's happening here live. All right, so we're going to talk about, how many people have even heard of Vibroacoustics? Who's even heard of that term before? Show of hands. So just a couple of people. Okay, how many people have heard of stem cells? Show of hands. Everybody, and double hands over here. All right, so there's an interest in this. I'm gonna be bridging the gap in terms of what a stem cell is, and really what vibroacoustics is, and how we can access human physiology in this industry. So we're gonna have a great time here today. A little introduction about myself. My name is Dr. Stephen Schwartz, and I'm the president and founder of Bioharmonic Technologies. We're in booth 301 downstairs. And I create technology for clearing cellular memory and optimizing biochemistry, clearing cellular memory. That's what we're going to talk about more on this talk here today. But I'm a chiropractor by license, and my whole background, I've been in practice since 2000, actually 1999. It's crazy, like 25 years, amazing. And my specialty has been working with chronic degenerative conditions, allergies, and autoimmune diseases, exclusively using vibrational techniques and technologies. So I've been studying this area for a long time. Really, my first half career was really working in a clinic in Denver, Colorado, and the second half of my career has been more about, because when people are sick, you're always trying to get them to not be sick. Okay, so now you're no longer with pain, you're no longer with fatigue, you're no longer with whatever it is. That's the starting line. Now what? Where do you go from there? People are like, you optimize, exactly. But that blows a lot of people's minds, because they can't even fathom what it would be like if they don't have these conditions. So I've been spending my second half of the career optimizing people's human physiology, and now we work basically full spectrum on that whole area. I also create, you'll see we start talking about the musical programs. I create therapeutic music called Soniceuticals. And I wrote this amazing book. It's called Primal Resonance, Discover the Secrets to Health, Vitality, and Optimal Human Performance. My team, we all think that my talk is at 12:30, so they're probably going to be here in like 25 minutes. But we have books coming here. And I'm happy to say that this book is about to be released in Spanish in Buenos Aires. In about 3 weeks, we're doing something called the Vibro Conference down in Argentina. So if anybody wants to come to Argentina with me, let me know. It's going to be an amazing event. And also, last year, I was honored to be in 2 movies. One's called Beyond Physical Matter, and I do have a couple books here that I'm probably going to be giving away to some lucky people. And I'm one of 16 amazing master teachers talking about quantum physics and consciousness. And also, there's a new movie that just was released on Amazon Prime, like Christmas, called Biohack Yourself. It's the definitive movie on biohacking and the visionaries in the space. So a little background about myself. That being said, let's get into what's most important, shall we? I just want to start by defining a couple things, just so everybody knows what we're talking about. And let's start with what a stem cell is. And a stem cell is an undifferentiated cell, meaning it can become anything. And it's from the proliferation of our cells, everything that we are comes from stem cells. And really, stem cells are based off of energy medicine. So when I say that, who in the room, okay, how many people in the room have heard of stem cells before? Show your hands again. Like almost everybody. When I say it's heavily rooted in energy medicine, how many people believe that? Show of hands. Okay, like half the people. Well, I'm here to share with you here today There's no other way stem cells can operate other than energy medicine. Actually, your entire physiology is based off of energy medicine. And that's why I do what I do in the first place. Now, stem cells are found in the tissues for regeneration, and don't actually think that somebody specifically has bridged the gap between Bruce Lipton's work with epigenetics and stem cells, besides myself. So, who's familiar with Bruce Lipton? Okay, most people have heard of Bruce Lipton. He's a longtime mentor of mine. And as we're talking about the origin of stem cells, this chart is what it looks like to go through a breakdown of what a stem cell does in its lifetime, how it goes from becoming an undifferentiated cell to being a variety of things that could be. These hemocytoblasts is the root name of what a stem cell is. And if you look, there's just one thing at the top, and then there's like a split, and then we see two things. Now, why does it become two things? It becomes on their environment, and to become a stem cell, one can come from the bone marrow, one can come from the lymph, and so, once again, environment. Now, what happens once it's in those areas, it breaks down, it can turn into 4 stem cells or 2 stem cells, it goes down to different paths. All this has to do off the information coming in that's going to guide it to turn into whatever that is that it turns into. Once again, this is something we're going to be talking about in terms of epigenetics. Who's familiar with that term, epigenetics? Okay, so if you're not familiar of that term epigenetics, I invite you to become familiar with it, and just by looking at the etymology of the term epigenetics, epi means above, genetics, above your genetics. There's the general understanding of genetics is that we're born with our genes. Oh, and I have cancer, I'm a smoker, I have addiction. Oh, sorry. That's just the role that God gave you in this lifetime. You're predetermined to have diabetes, cancer. That's just what your genes show. Next life, you might get another opportunity. But according to epigenetics, it says that basically we all have genes and it can be predisposed to anything, but our environment is what dictates how our genes express themselves. Which is amazing, because now we can control the environment, we can have more control over the environment of how we're putting together how their genes are expressed, which is a lot more empowering, personally. So if we look at this chart, this is Bruce Lipton on the right here. He's the one that basically came up with the term epigenetics. But these are all like external factors, things like your diet and psychological state and social interactions, drugs and microbiome and exercise. These are like external things that really dictate how your environment can control your genes. But what we're going to be talking about is more at a micro level, how that can be controlled. So we're going to talk about that in just a few minutes. Now, vibroacoustics, initially I asked people, how many people in the room have heard of vibroacoustics? Show of hands again, one more time. Only, like not a large amount of people, which I love. I love coming places where people are not familiar with this technology because it's so vitally important, and my role on this planet is to bridge the gap to the education in this space about the importance of vibroacoustics, vibration, acoustic, sound and vibration. And why is this more important versus like, I don't use the word important, I don't like the word important, because they're all important. And what I was going to say, what's important, like PMF, light, frequencies, all these things, they're all important. Tesla technology, but vibroacoustics, it's different. It's hitting the body. All these technologies, they all hit the body in a different way. Some interact with the aura, some interact with at the cellular level, some work at the DNA level, some work, so in different levels. So what I like about vibroacoustics is that it's plugging directly into the connective tissue of the body, which we're going to talk about in just a few minutes. But this is the basic definition. Vibroacoustic therapy is a powerful modality that uses low-frequency sound waves to create vibrations that resonate throughout the body. Sound vibrations optimize body functions by integrating direct with the cells, helping to harmonize their natural frequencies. And Dr. John Stewart Reed, he came up with something called the cymoscope. Everyone who's familiar with cymatics, show of hands. Most people, they seem like, the medium, you put some kind of fluid dynamic in it and it changes the shape in a beautiful geometry. John Stewart Reed was one of the early pioneers in that space. In 2004, 20 years ago, I was in Santa Fe, New Mexico, sitting, listening to Bruce Lipton, talking about epigenetics, and I remember as a young doctor saying, great, theoretically, what's the applied science? How do I apply and he was talking about subconscious mind reprogramming and things like that. It's like, hey, yes to all those things, but this was 20 years ago. So 20 years forward to now, what's the best way of really creating an environment that can influence your environment to change the way your biochemistry expresses itself? And we've come up with something called the Vibe System, and this is epigenetics in action. And the Vibe System is an acronym. So everybody repeat after me. Vibrational.
Vibrational.
Individualized.
Individualized.
Body.
Body.
Enhancement.
System. So the Vibe System, it's a vibrational individualized body enhancement system. It's a full body music activated vibrational sound technology that we designed as a delivery system for delivering specialized programs that I developed to connect directly into our nervous system for changing biochemistry through bioresonance. And by changing cellular environment through low-level frequencies, the vibe can create a harmonious setting that optimizes conditions for stem cells to thrive. Now, here's a couple other books that I invite you to. Actually, Dave, did somebody bring one of my books up here? Thank you, sir. Everybody, this is one of my amazing vibe owners, a longtime friend, Dave DeSaro. Well, I'm from Dave DeSaro. Everybody gets plugged, right? And anyhow, this is my book, Primal Resonance, and we'll have more of these in the back if you guys are available. Bruce Lipton's book, Biology of Belief, if you're not familiar with that book, talks all about epigenetics. And then Dr. James Oshman, which, how many of you heard of James Oshman? Any James Oshman fans? Get to know this man. I don't know what he's doing currently, but he talks about intracellular water. He talks about the living connective tissue matrix. I read this book 20 years ago. And it's fundamental in terms of the scientific aspects. If anybody has insomnia, read his book.
What's the name of the book?
It's a very deep, heady book, but the information is fantastic, and it's written a long time ago. So we're going to get into more details based off all these things. And one of my, what I call like Schwartzisms, these are one of my core foundations that I've been basing my entire practice on for now like 25 years, is that we are physical manifestations of our own energetic expressions. We're energy first and physical bodies second. Now, who believes that? Show of hands. Okay, put your hands up again. I'm just looking around who doesn't believe that. Put your hands, who doesn't believe that? And you can do it. No joke. And you know, here at Conscious Life Expo, people believe that. And I'm going to explain exactly why it's based off these two principles. First, we're going to talk about the piezoelectric effect. Okay, has anybody heard of the piezoelectric effect here? No. It's amazing that people hear this topic, these conversations. And I talk about this in detail in my book if you want to know more about it. But this is a science. This is an engineering term, and we talks about like thermodynamics. They say in a living system, if two objects move around one another, they create an electromagnetic field. So if I take my elbow and I move it, this is a living system, and I move my elbow, because my bones are moving around one another, it's creating an electromagnetic field. So if I go down like even deeper into the body, like what about like my blood and lymphatic system, my heart beating, just those things alone passively, because it's in a living system and there's movement, there's an electromagnetic field being generated. If I go even deeper into that, what about my cells? So even at a cellular level, there's microcirculation happening, there's these quote-unquote organelles that are operating and moving around, and there's movement happening, like piezoelectric effect. There's an electromagnetic field being generated. If we go even deeper into subatomic particles, these are protons, neutrons, and electrons, we're seeing that we have protons and neutrons make up the nucleus, and then we have spinning around are these electrons. There's definitely movement occurring there. The living system is generating an electromagnetic field. So now we see, this ties into the whole topic of longevity and really immortality. Like literally living indefinitely forever. And understanding this concept about how much energy, passive energy that we have capacities as humans or just as living creatures on this planet have, we're able to generate this electromagnetic field from nothing. We're not plugged into, we're not like a Tesla plugged into a wall or a computer or something like this. We have our innate abilities to generate our own energy. And I don't know what the term is, how many protons and electrons exist inside of one cell, but it's a lot, okay? Scientific terms, it's a lot. And there's 100 trillion cells. So picture a lot times 100 trillion, okay? That's a lot of piezoelectric effect happening that generates a lot of energy. And so I'm gonna ask some personal questions. You guys can respond if you like, but anybody suffering from, energy issues? Anybody in chronic fatigue or just have problems with energy? Show of hands, a couple people. Some, a little bit, so. So based off of this principle, nobody should ever have energy issues ever. Because we have infinite amounts of energy. So why would we start having a compromise in that? I'm gonna get into that a little more. So the next concept I wanna share with you is something called photonic emission. Has anybody heard of photonic emission? A few people. So with photonic emission, what this is saying that in a living system that we talked about, the piezoelectric effect, every time these electrons, protons and electrons are subatomic particles, these electrons jump from what they're called electron shells or electron clouds. They move from shell to shell. There is a spark of light and a release of energy. So it's that number, that a lot number, times 100 trillion. So we're getting these sparks of lights, like just within one cell, you're seeing this like light fall, times 100 trillion. So this is what's creating this, essentially our aura, our electromagnetic field aura. When anybody in the room can see auras? What? Wait, how many people in this room can see auras? 1, 2, 3, 5 people, 6 people, 7 people. In the Conscious Life Expo, I felt everybody was going to raise their hand. But that's the thing, Dr. Schwartz, okay, where is all this light? Like, I just see a three-dimensional, physical being. How do we see all the light? Well, this is the beautiful aspect of what we're dealing with. Why I specifically work with Vibroacoustics. Because yes, we are light, but if we're looking at the electromagnetic field spectrum, and we slow down the visible and invisible light, we slow it down, Hertz frequencies, into the radio waves, into sound waves, we literally begin to ground light into a physical sound expression of ourselves. And if we ground it, if we slow it down even more, it turns into vibration. So there's a bridge really between quantum and Newtonian physics. Newtonian physics is what governs the physical world. Quantum physics is what governs the energetic world. You guys with me on this? You guys with me so far? Did I lose anybody? Okay, good. So now, according to Bruce Lipton, he says there is no such thing as Newtonian physics. Everything's quantum. And really, if you go from this physical space, you go down these subatomic particles, piezoelectric effect, photonic emissions, that's all quantum. So there really isn't even Newtonian physics. It doesn't actually really exist. So that puts us back into the space of working with sound. We can plug directly into what I call quantum anatomy. And that's what we're going to talk about right now. Where does it interact? This information I'm sharing with you is in every medical textbook. I mean, this isn't the world according to Dr. Schwartz. I talk about it in detail in my book, Primal Resonance, which I invite you guys to pick up copies of. But really, there's 3 very fun words that I like to share that I'm going to invite you guys to share with me. So repeat after me. Microfilaments. Microtubules. And intermediate tubules. Kind of fun, right? Fun words. So collectively, they form something called the living connective tissue matrix. And James Oshman talks about this in his book in detail as well. And they have one physiological effect. They do one thing in the body. They respond to your environment, to our environment, aka Bruce Lipton, through Anyone want to venture in? Through? Close? Two.
Vibration.
Very good. And you win a book. So come on afterwards. Come on afterwards and your book. Great. Nice. Exactly. Through vibrational resonance. So you respond. The microfilaments, microtubules, intermediate tubules have one physiological effect. They respond to your environment through vibrational resonance. Okay, ding, 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 ding. In my mind, I'm like, so if I can influence vibrational resonance, I can influence epigenetics. I can begin to change biochemistry. I can begin to change my vibe, change my life. Your life, our lives. So that's the foundation. I want to share with you, this is an exciting time. When I first had a download in 2004 about the concept of clearing cellular memory, I was like, well, actually it was in Peru, came back from a trip to Peru, experienced plant medicine the first time, experienced having cellular memory cleared to me. I didn't even know what cellular memory was. And I started researching, I was like, wow, nobody's been talking about this. Like, what is cellular memory? Now it kind of put me on this path over the last 20 plus years to explore what this is all about. And now what we're seeing is legitimate, peer-reviewed scientific journals validating all of this work. So I want to share some really awesome research study. This was the National Library of Medicine, the NIH. This is about as legit medical research as you can get. And the name of this article, this is emissions of biophotons, which we just talked about, and adjustable sounds by the fascial system. That's the living connective tissue matrix. And here's just a couple quick excerpts. One says the presence of vibrations is able to determine the shape of the cell and its functional capacity by acting directly on the DNA. That's what was proven in this study through affecting the fascia. And the emission of biophotons, light, which we just talked about, and the production of sound from the fascial system has clinical significance. So these are direct, and I put in this third quote because really what it's saying here is there's more research to be done. Like, these are the early stages of understanding that you can access fascia and the DNA and the living connection and using light, sound, and frequency. So I'm excited because really we have a delivery system. It's called the Vibe system, and we've conducted our own research on stem cells and mitochondria, which I'm going to be sharing with you here today. Cymatics.
Yeah, of course.
There's another, okay, I create these equations, okay? Really simple, because the bottom line is, remember that picture with Albert Einstein, and he's got the whole chalkboard filled up with these things, and I said, I want you to learn that equation. You're gonna be like, thank you, thank you. Yeah, you look like somebody that would understand that chalkboard.
That's how I roll.
And sitting in the front row. Well, for the rest of us, I want to give you a very simple equation. And really, the more that I really meditate on this, and I think about the principles involved with these three very simple words, this is the equation for longevity and immortality. And you're laughing, but and I've been thinking more and more about this, okay? Because what I just talked about is we have infinite light and infinite piezoelectric effect activities that I think the only thing that's correcting us is the reason we're dying is because of these three-dimensional spacesuits. But really what is below this is infinite. So we have an ability, especially in this new Earth, we're raising the vibration of the planet, we are raising our consciousness. Everybody's talking about that here at the Conscious Life Expo. And we are able to tap into longevity at a much higher level. And these are the three simple words of this equation. Repeat after me. Hydrate.
Hydrate.
Vibrate.
Vibrate.
Gyrate.
Gyrate.
You guys know gyrate? There you go. The scientist in the front here. Gyrate. You know what? And on a scientific basis, there can be a micro gyration, which is really what we're going for. There can be macro gyrations, dancing, singing, intimate gyrations, all of it applies. But if we can get that, if we hydrate ourselves with optimal conductivity, which is more, and then vibrate harmonic resonance into the system and get cellular gyration occurring, we can literally reverse the process of aging, because aging is a biological disease that can be slowed and reversed. And I can confidently say that. So cymatics is showing what happens when you put sound into a liquid medium. We can see all these beautiful geometric shapes based off of frequencies. And then who's familiar with Dr. Masaru Emoto? Yeah, this is Dr. Emoto place for sure. And what did he say? He said, with your intentions into your water, you can change what the water looks like. We are water. And with the vibe system, people are like, oh, you should make that out of water. I'm like, no, we're not gonna make it out of water. We're vibrating your water. We are the water. And we are the water surrounded by this living connective tissue matrix that's made up of microfilaments, microtubules, and microtubules that vibrate, that respond to an environment through vibrational resonance into intracellular water, which holds memory. So these principles. Here's another equation that I want to share with you. Let's write that down. Hydrate, vibrate, gyrate.
Yeah.
So this one here, when you come to our booth to vibe, and this is, I'm not going to share. I'll share it later on in our talk because there's make more sense in our research. So here's some new research. And once again, International Journal of Molecular Science. We are in the new earth when this is being published in medical journals. By the way, this is the name, this is like the legit name of this study. Sound matrix shaping of living matter from macro systems to cellular microenvironments where mitochondria act as, this is energy portals in detecting and processing sound vibration. Energy portals has made medical journals. We're in a new earth. And we were talking about, what they did was a review of different research that was showing the effects of sound, light, vibration, really on mitochondria, which we're going to talk about in just a few minutes. What I post these pictures, this was based off of Dr. Fabian Maman, somebody that I've researched many, many years ago. My second album was based off his work. And we're showing the effects of sound and Caroline photography. That's the picture to the left. And these pictures to the right, this is cancer cells and red blood cells as affected to the voice and instruments. So, going on, I just want to read a quote. This talks about sound, vibration, mitochondria, and it says, vibration and sound are the shaping matrix of the entire universe. Everything in nature is shaped by energy vibrating and communicating through its own sound trail. Every cell within our body vibrates at defined frequencies, generating its peculiar sound signature. We're all taking the sound signature. And mitochondria are dynamic energy transforming biosynthetic signaling organelles that act. What a mitochondria is, it's the number one most important organelle in the body. It produces something called ATP. Who's heard of ATP?
Yeah.
ATP, adenosine triphosphate. Energy. Everything is ATP in the cells and is generated through the mitochondria. If you're not getting your mitochondria producing ATP, you're going to have energy issues. You're going to have degeneration issues. You're going to have inflammatory issues. You're going to have reduced oxygenation in your cells. So you're going to have increased free radical production. Everything bad comes from a breakdown in ATP production through mitochondria. So that's why mitochondria is directly correlated to stem cell production as well too, and everything we're talking about. So this is really the new year of healing. We're working with these vibroacoustic sound beds. These are the Vibes, Vibe 3.1, Vibe 3.2. And, you know, in the last 100+ years, the Rockefellers came in and said, here's your petroleum-based products, and here's your surgery, and here's all the stuff going on, and here's for your symptoms. But now the ancients have always talked about, you know, holistic care for overall health and well-being. And so now we're redefining what medicine looks like into the future based off of the principles I'm talking about here, where the medicine in the future is you're putting on headphones, you're laying on a vibrating bed, we're connecting directly into the core foundations of your nervous system through the skin, something called the ectodermal tissues, which I don't have time to talk about here. But these are the embryological developmental tissues of our nervous system. And we have specific formulations of our music that is vibrating into our cells. And you lay on these vibe systems, and we have specialized programs to influence biochemistry for a variety of different ways. And that's what we're doing with the Vibe, 3.1, 3.2. In a nutshell, when we're looking at stem cell therapy through vibroacoustic therapy, we can optimize stem cell environment. We can boost mitochondrial energy. We can improve oxygenation. We can enhance cellular communication. We can reduce stress and inflammation. And we can also, we see the studies with the Vibe system show significant improvement in mitochondrial reserve capacity, speeding up recovery. Now, we've done research, which I'm about to share with you on all this, but these are our findings. Is this interesting?
Yes.
All from that side, that,
Yeah.
right, the one slide right before.
Yeah, the Vibe system. Yeah, and we're gonna talk about that right now. So here's our scientific validated research that we've been doing through bioharmonic technologies for the last good number of years. The number one thing that this technology does is works with, put your body into something called, who's ever heard of parasympathetic? A couple people, so a lot of people haven't. So autonomic nervous system, this is your fight or flight response or your rest and regenerate response. It's very important. Heart rate variability, who's heard of heart rate variability? Okay, heart rate variability. This is the definitive diagnostic for showing your body goes into autonomic nervous system, fight or flight, or parasympathetic. It's the gold standard. So we started running this test many years ago, showing does your body go to parasympathetic. Now here's what's important to know about parasympathetic. Is anybody on a healing journey in this room? Everybody. So some people might be on emotional, some might be on spiritual, some may be on physical. But if you're on, like I say, a physical healing journey and you're pursuing all these different technologies, if your body is not in parasympathetic, if your body is not in rest and repose, your biochemistry is not optimized for healing, period. So whatever you're doing, if you're like totally stressed out and you're stuck in sympathetic, like most people are, if you can't go into parasympathetic, whatever you're doing is just spilling over the top. So the number one thing, if you walk out here, you can only do one thing that you learn from this talk is put your body to parasympathetic, and that will optimize your biochemistry for healing naturally through a passive homeostatic process. So real quickly, I want to move through heart rate variability. This was a 26-year-old person. They did a pre-before, then we did a 20-minute vibe, and we did a rescan 20 minutes later. Her emotional state was at a 49. 40 minutes later, we did a rescan. It's at 70. This was a heart rate variability scan. We see these like colored spikes in the next line on the left, picture on the left. This is all her brainwave states. That is an example of ADD, attention deficit disorder, when you have all your different brainwaves spiking. After 20 minutes of vibing and retesting, we see a perfect balance of just deep theta, deep delta, which is ideally what you want in a parasympathetic response. In the middle slide, middle picture, we see her biological age. She was 26, she was registering as a 29-year-old. 20 minutes later, she was a 23-year-old. And the picture to the right, we see the orange and the yellow spine. That's a sign of her body being in sympathetic. Picture to the right, after 20 minutes, her body shifted to parasympathetic. So this validates, we have many studies like this, just a thumbnail about how you can, this 20 minutes of vibing can influence the way your body can shift from sympathetic into parasympathetic. Then we got into, in 2024, we started working with mitochondrial testing, and that's what I'm going to share with you for the remainder of, I have less than 10 minutes, so I'm going to move kind of quick, okay? But this is fascinating. The first test was, can we influence mitochondria with the vibe? So, test, vibe, retest. And this is what we saw just after 20 minutes of vibing. And I want to read this to you. Essentially, it says stress ROS. This is reactive oxidative species. High stress in ROS measurements means our mitochondria make too much reactive oxidative species when under stress and can cause excessive oxidative damage. This suggests your cells might not handle oxidative stress well during high demand situations and is linked to high-risk health issues and related to oxidative stress. After 20 minutes, we see a total shift back into a normal range. And the mitochondria produces a normal amount of reactive oxidative species just after 20 minutes, and this is going to, essentially this is creating an antioxidant using sound. So if you're taking the antioxidant pills or if you're getting through other methods, we now say laying on the Vibe for 20 minutes can create a natural, no side effect, antioxidant effect in your bodies for scavenging free radicals. That's amazing, guys. Okay? Round of applause. Round of applause. Thank you. Thank you. I just want to, people say like music is healing, sound is healing, all that. Or they say the medicine future is frequency and vibration. This is not like, oh, go to a sound bath and listen to a crystal bowl. This is, we are reversing the most severe conditions that medicine wishes that they could treat with this modality. That's what I'm passionate about, and that's what I've been seeing for 25 years. So getting deeper into the next round, in an ideal state, what you're wanting to do is say, here's men, here's women, here's the same kind of condition. Right? What I said was, no, let's vary the people. Like, I want to see people that vibe all the time, people that don't vibe all the time. We want to see older people, we saw a man, we want to see women, we see teenagers, and we just put them into this soup of tests. We did a before test, and then we put them, they vibed every day for 20 minutes, and then we did a retest at the end of 7 days. Now, the people that we get these mitochondrial tests from were hired by NASA to do testing for astronauts. Joe Dispenza uses, everybody knows Joe Dispenza? Everybody knows Joe Dispenza. He uses mitochondrial testing to see what happens if you listen to Dr. Joe's program in a week, before and after. So we say, great, what happens if you vibe for 20 minutes a day in a week? Are we doing the same or better than Dr. Joe? And we actually found that, I'm going to cut to the chase because we're saying the p-values is anything 0.05 or less is like popping the champagne bottle of success. And this is showing clinical significance for everybody that we put through this as a 0.02 p-value. And what that means in short is that oxidative consumption rate in the mitochondria, meaning that your mitochondria can consume more oxygen after just 20 minutes of vibing in times of stress, is mind-blowing. Now, as we're winding up this talk, how does this all come together? Well, this is showing that with stem cells, there's a direct correlation to the function and health of mitochondria and the clinical outcomes of stem cell therapy. So if you want to optimize stem cell therapy, 20 minutes on the Vibe. So now we're working with more and more stem cell companies where they can be vibing before and after to support the effectiveness of the stem cells coming into the body after the therapy. But also, what are some conditions that are side effects of people having anaerobic effects, like a reduction of oxygen in cells? Cancer, arthritis, fibromyalgia, chronic inflammation, chronic infection, cardiovascular disease, chronic fatigue. Every single chronic infection is a lack of oxygenation, So what we're showing is by vibing and increasing aerobic performance, we see that this reduces pathogens, molds, and viruses, which is the key factor that I talk about in my book. It's been the cornerstone of work reversing chronic illness for 25 years. You need to get rid of the chronic infection. Improve wound healing, improve microcirculation, improve cellular energy output, improve cardiovascular health, improve brain function, improve immune system function, improve athletic performance, reduce stress, better sleep, reduce inflammation, accelerate detoxification. All of these are benefits of increasing oxygenation to your cells. You guys with me?
Yeah.
This is real healing. This is the medicine of the future. And what's exciting about medicine of the future is
Now.
what, can we all say that together?
Now.
Now. Medicine of the now. We talk about like new age. Oh, this is so hippy dippy new age. It's not new age. It's now age. There's no new age. It's the now age. And I feel really blessed to. These are some of my mentors. Olaf Scaling founded Vibroacoustics back in the late '90s. Bruce Lipton, Epigenetics. John Stewart Reed working with cymatics, and now I'm happy to be in this circle adding this kind of technology to the mainstream. So and our intention is to have people be able to access this in the comfort of their own homes, into beginning clinics, like all these all these biohacking centers around, whether you're using cold plunges, infrared, saunas, anything, they all require a vibe system, vibroacoustic technology. So these are all the references. I'm happy to provide this presentation. If anybody's interested in this presentation, let's see, here's Dave in the back, and then here's
Dave in the back. Oh, hi, Dave in the back.
Shauna right here in the back. These two people, you can see us, see my team, and they can get your contact information. Also, we're going to be running vibe sessions down at our booth 301 on the main floor. And if you want to sign up for a spot, see Shauna over here as well, or Dave. We have a QR code. You can just scan the QR code. And let's see. Oh, my last slide is not sliding. There it is. Okay. So this is my last slide. Follow us on Instagram. We're Instagram Live. We did a Instagram Live here, so we'll be on rebroadcast for Bioharmonic Technologies. And do we have time for one question? Anybody have a question?
I have a question.
Go ahead, sir.
You had spoke. It's a brief question. You had spoke about home-based solutions. What are you guys' biggest obstacles from preventing that from happening? Home-based solutions with vibe systems.
That's a really good question. Right now, our vibe systems, they cost between around $5,000 or $6,000. We have financing with them. We try to make it accessible to the masses. We have payment plans and all that stuff. We want to work out some leasing systems so everybody can say yes to it. I mean, we're in 30 countries. We have about 1,000 of these in the world so far. But I think at the end of the day, if people are dealing with their investing in their health, this is a one-time purchase. And for $5,000 to $6,000, you can, it's something that can treat the entire family. And I mean, if you have a child that has ADD or any kind of dietary issues, they can put them on the vibe. You have a loved one that you guys get into an argument, a fight. You say, honey, go vibe yourself. And it works, it'll change. I understand. So to answer your question, you know, we're working on bringing the price down and expanding this. But at the end of the day, we also, if you look at what equipment costs, $5,000 to $6,000 is kind of a really great price for this technology. And I'm the creator, I'm the manufacturer. Our mission is to get as many of these vibe systems out to the world as possible. You guys are in the late early adopter stage, so if you guys are interested in the vibes, please see Shanna or David in the back. Please come down and join us. And if you guys are interested in picking up a copy of my book, here, if you want to come to Buenos Aires, come talk to me. And we're actually hosting the first annual Vibe Fest in Tulum, Mexico, where I live. Yes. And this, my friend Matthew lives as well. And if you want to come for 5 days on the beach in Tulum, Mexico, and learn to get certified in Vibroacoustics with myself, talk to me or any of my team. And that's that. Thank you. My name is Dr. Stephen Schwartz. Thanks for having me.